the Zodiac Killer's infamous Z340 cipher. In the late 1960s, a killer taunted police and newspapers across Northern California. He didn't just threaten. He didn't just confess. He encoded. Symbols replaced letters. Grids replaced words. Meaning was hidden behind layers of intention. The sender called himself Zodiac. And for decades, his most infamous cipher remained unsolved. Not by the FBI. Not by cryptographers. Not by computers powerful enough to simulate galaxies. Until, unexpectedly, it was. This is the story of the Zodiac cipher breakers. A story not about a killer, but about patience, collaboration, and ordinary people who refused to stop thinking. In August 1969, the letters began. 3 major newspapers received nearly identical letters. Each envelope contained a short message, a demand for publication, 1/3 of a cipher. The sender promised that if the cipher wasn't printed, he would continue killing. The newspapers complied. The public stared at rows of symbols, circles, triangles, letters mixed with strange marks. This was Z408, the Zodiac's first cipher. Within days, a married couple from Salinas, California, Donald and Betty Harden, began working on the cipher from their living room. They weren't professionals. They were teachers. Using pattern recognition, frequency analysis, and patience, they cracked Z408. The message wasn't a confession of identity. It was a manifesto. The Zodiac wrote about enjoying killing and collecting victims as slaves for the afterlife. Chilling, but crucially incomplete. He signed it with a warning. When I die, I will be reborn in paradise and all the people I have killed will become my slaves. There was no name, no location, and the Zodiac noticed something important. People were listening. After Z408, the Zodiac escalated. More letters, more threats, more puzzles, and then something different. In November 1969, he mailed a new cipher, Z340. This one was longer, more complex, more chaotic, and unlike the first, it resisted every attempt to solve it. The Zodiac mocked authorities openly. He claimed the police would never catch me. For decades, he was right. Z340 wasn't just a substitution cipher. It appeared deliberately misaligned. Lines didn't read cleanly left to right. Patterns repeated, but not predictably. It wasn't broken English disguised as symbols. It was structured to confuse. Cryptographers believed. The text might require diagonal reading, or layered transposition, or deliberate misspellings, or all three. This wasn't about secrecy alone. It was about control. Over the years, Z340 was examined by the FBI, the CIA, academic cryptographers, military code analysts. Computers were thrown at it. Algorithms tested millions of combinations. Nothing worked. The cipher became legendary, a locked door that refused to open. As decades passed, interest didn't fade. It multiplied. Online forums emerged. Amateur cryptographers shared theories. Retirees, students, engineers, and hobbyists worked the cipher at night after day jobs. They weren't chasing fame. They were chasing understanding. And slowly, tools improved. In the early 2010s, 3 individuals began collaborating online. David Orenchak, a software developer and longtime Zodiac researcher. Sam Blake, a mathematician. Jarl Van Eyck, a warehouse manager with a passion for cryptography. They lived in different countries. They had never met in person. They shared one obsession. Instead of brute force, they changed their approach. They asked a different question. What if the Zodiac wanted the cipher to look unsolvable? What if it wasn't about complexity, but misdirection? They explored diagonal reading patterns. They tested staggered alignments. They treated the cipher like a visual puzzle, not just text. In December 2020, something changed. A pattern aligned. Text emerged. Not cleanly, but unmistakably. After 51 years, Z340 was finally decoded. The message read, in part, "I hope you are having lots of fun trying to catch me." He denied fears of the gas chamber. He mocked the police again. And once more, he gave no name. The decoded message did not reveal Zodiac's identity. It did not solve the murders. So why did it matter? Because it proved something crucial. The Zodiac was not unbeatable. The mystery was not impenetrable. Persistence worked. The cipher was solved not by institutions, but by civilians. People with curiosity, discipline, collaboration. They worked without authority, without funding, without pressure, and they succeeded. Experts analyzing the decoded text noted something important. The Zodiac ciphers were not about secrecy. They were about attention. He wanted to be read, to be feared, to be remembered. The ciphers were performances, and by decoding them, civilians took that power back. Even today, some Zodiac ciphers remain unsolved. Shorter messages, ambiguous symbols. Some may be meaningless. Others may hide something deeper. But the mythology has shifted. What once felt impossible now feels approachable. This case highlights something new in modern investigation. The internet allows global collaboration, diverse thinking, persistent focus. Cold cases are no longer limited to closed rooms. They are open puzzles. The cipher breakers were careful. They avoided sensationalism. They worked with law enforcement. They framed their success not as victory, but as contribution. They remembered victims mattered more than riddles. The Zodiac cipher breakers story endures because it flips the narrative. It's not about a killer outsmarting the world. It's about the world catching up. Quietly, patiently, together. The Zodiac believed time would protect him, that decades would bury his secrets. Instead, time empowered others. Technology evolved. Collaboration grew. Curiosity endured. And eventually, the code spoke. This is the story of the Zodiac cipher breakers. A story about letters that refused to stay silent. About ordinary people who solved an extraordinary mystery. And about how patience can outlast fear. If you want more deep-dive true crime stories focused on investigation, intelligence, and human persistence, subscribe to Mystery Grid. Because every story is a puzzle, and sometimes the answer waits decades for the right minds to listen.